You said that 2021 was the most unhappiest year of your life. Publicly, you're looking like you are crushing it, but inside, you're not.
So in 2021, I sold 104 properties. And I did that and I thought I was fantastic and I had my best year ever in real estate and, I was sort of high-fiving. The two pivotal events that occurred in my life was finding out that I had kidney cancer and also at the same time I separated. And the separation, it was a big thing. It was bigger than the cancer for me. Those two events happened to me. And now looking back, mid-2025, I'd say it was the best year of my life because the person that was there in January was not the person that came out in December.
What part of yourself did you let die in order to become the man you are?
Some beliefs and expectations that I put on myself, what I thought I was doing and why I thought it was doing it. It was a mindset shift. I can't remember my first sale. I can't remember a lot of my clients. It shows that most of my life has been on autopilot. Every month just trying to crush through all these sales and just achieve these goals that I've set for myself. So I've just spent certainly the last 12 months basically around balance and trying to say to myself, how much is enough? I can't help it. I just keep pushing as hard as I possibly can. But I have to remind myself now, you really have to test yourself.
Based on your experience now, does the cost of high performance always need to cause regret? Welcome.
Hey, Benny.
I've watched your Eric talk twice, about a week and a half ago, and then I watched it again last night for a refresh. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I wrote down three words to describe it. And so I had vulnerability, humility, and self-awareness. I thought it was a very brilliant talk and I thought it was very real and authentic. And I haven't seen too many Eric talks, but I just felt like you put a lot of consideration and effort into that talk. And for people listening to this, Eric's the largest real estate conference in Australia because I've got a lot of listeners who aren't in real estate. It seems like you went very deep with it. And so I guess my question is, after watching it, I was like, what's a question that I've got? And so my question is, what part of yourself did you let die in order to become the man you are in 2025, where you are now?
I don't know how to answer that, Benny. Like I assume probably, obviously, the audience haven't heard the chat, right? Or heard the Eric talk. So I guess I've just in terms of, again, some context for the audience. So the conversation is about largely like a big change and some monumental change in my life. So my life before, basically the two pivotal events that occurred in my life was finding out that I had kidney cancer and also at the same time I separated. And the separation was it was a big thing. It was bigger than the cancer for me because when you separate, it's more than just logistics. Like for me, I had this belief when I married Chloe that I would be with her forever. And that was my commitment. That was my mental, emotional commitment to myself, to her, to my children. I'm going to be with this person forever. So trying to untangle that in your brain is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to try and, reconcile, because I was like, how am I not with this person? How am I not waking up next to this person? And I've been pretty open about the separation. It was just two people that sort of drifted apart. And I largely blame society for that. Like it's just all these distractions that happened in 2025. Now, ultimately, I need to take responsibility or even Chloe, it's us, it's not society.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because those two events happened to me and I reference or refer to 2023 as the hardest year of my life. And now looking back, mid 2025, I'd say it was the best year of my life, because the person that started, or, the person that was there in January was not the person that came out in December. And I can't tell you how much pain I felt that year, but also like how much shifted inside of me. So, there were just, for me, what had to die? Just some beliefs, man. Just some beliefs and expectations that I put on myself, what I thought I was doing and why I thought it was doing it. That's sort of in business, in life. So I'm not sure. Like, literally, I felt, when you say what had to die, or die inside me, just it was a mindset shift, unbelievable mindset shift.
I'll put, I'll put the link in for people to watch it when after the episode, because for context. There's a few things that stood out for me that I wanted to kind of break apart in that talk. So 23 years in real estate, like, fuck, solid, well done.
Thank you.
Like, long time.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a long time for you?
Do you know, I can't even remember my first year. I can't remember my first sale. I can't remember a lot of my clients, because I might bump into them years later. I think that's interesting in itself, because it shows that most of my life has been on autopilot, which is interesting, because I'm just like every month just trying to crush through all these sales and just, like achieve these goals that I've set for myself. But yeah, it is a long time. And you know what I'm probably most proud of is that I've done it at the highest level for a very long time, and I'm still doing it at the highest level, but I've had to reinvent myself. And there's real estate with children, there's real estate, as a single person, like there's different layers to life as well.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty proud that I'm here and I've been able to perform and reinvent myself. But yeah, it also does get, at some point, and this is being very honest, it does get repetitive. There are some things that really annoy you. So there's a lot that I love, but there's also a few things that I don't like, anymore.
When I said the word self-awareness, like, I really felt like you've taken the time to really like analyze your life in different segments. And one of the things you said during the talk was the shadows of success. You talked about that. What did you specifically mean when you mentioned that? Like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, okay. I'll give you a specific example when it comes to sales.
Okay.
So, for example, in 2021, I sold 104 properties. And I did that, and I thought I was fantastic, and I had my best year ever in real estate, and, I was sort of high-fiving. When I look back at the end of 2021, when I'm like, this version sitting in front of you now looks back, I then look at the other areas in my life. Was I present with my children? Was I present with my partner? Could I have done better? And the answer is, yeah, I could have done better. I'm always going to, even if I did better, I'd still say that I could have done better, right? That's just how I am as a person. So then I would say, okay, how many of those 104 sales that were like so monumentally important to me would I trade to go back and trade for more presence, with the family, my partner? 10, 20, 30 sales? Yeah, probably like 20, 30, I don't know, something like that. So I'm just so the shadow in like chasing so hard is what you can't see, or perhaps the destruction that you leave, in the trail of like trying to chase. Does that make sense? So that's just what I've learned. If you set yourself a goal and you're going super hard, then that's okay. Go for it. But just understand that there will be consequences, and usually consequences in other areas of your life.
Yes.
So I've just spent certainly the last 12 months, or, since, my ARIC talk, is basically around balance and trying to say to myself, like, how much is enough? Because I will never, unless I sort of ask myself that question, I'm always going to, I can't help it. I just keep pushing as hard as I possibly can. And I make decisions. I just want to test myself, constantly test myself. But I have to remind myself now, do you really have to test yourself? Or will there be consequences if you test yourself to go out and chase these ambitious goals?
You said that 2021 was the most unhappiest year of your life. And what I loved about that, when I heard that, I was like, fuck, like, you just have the vulnerability and the honesty to say that, because obviously publicly you're looking like you are. I'm assuming someone like an agent or someone looking in is like, this guy is just crushing it, but inside, you're not. Like, was it after you were diagnosed that you realized that was a shit time, or like when about did you?
I think I probably felt it at the time, but I didn't know how to again understand that.
Yep.
I think I probably felt it. The one thing that I didn't mention in my talk that I probably should have acknowledged is the one thing in 2021 that actually helped me enormously was jiu-jitsu. I don't train anymore because I haven't trained since I got sick, but I do intend to go back. But I remember I took that up as a hobby because I heard about it and a friend had recommended it to me. And I started training and I would go on my lunch break. And that was something I did repeat to everybody, like I did sort of convey to everybody at that point, like, geez, jiu-jitsu's really given me purpose in my life. It's sort of interesting. But when you think about it, that was limited to 1 hour a day. But yeah, I associated happiness with income and success. And like you sort of, because we're in real estate, you get to project your success and you put stuff on Instagram where you like, look at me and look how great I am. But I don't know, like I just had this realization, am I really that happy? Like, is my relationship where I want it to be? This is something that I thought, I like the concept of vibration. Like a naturopath taught me about vibration back in 2017. The concept of high vibration, low vibration, high vibration activities, whatever that could be, like a walk, exercise, sunlight, etc. Low vibration, maybe drug taking, alcohol, whatever it is, right? Late nights. So I sort of adopted that when I heard it. And my view was, I want to live this sort of high vibration life. Now I know it's a bit woo-woo, but like that's the reality. But I do think I asked myself in 2021, am I in a high vibration relationship? And I don't know I don't know what, like, the answer was probably not, but I couldn't, one of the things as we worked on the relationship, there were things that I couldn't see at the time that I see now that I probably could have done better.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking account, like, responsibility for, like, I put the whole thing on my own shoulders. That's just what I do with everything. So whether it's work or a relationship or whatever it is, I'll always take the blame. I just see myself as responsible for most things.
Is that just a form of extreme ownership, accountability, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing you could say to me is to call me a victim, because like nothing makes me angrier like a victim. Like, so anyway, sometimes that sort of stuff can come up in an argument, right?
Do you think you sometimes are a victim?
No.
I'm just.
Fuck no.
Okay.
Sorry, can I swear?
Of course you can swear.
No. I take responsibility for everything. Everything. And I try and call out behavior. So that's just, again, no, not at all. I accept responsibility for everything. Everything.
Just going back to that around 2021 being the unhappiest year of your life, is that because everything was out of balance and you were so focused on work, so relationship was maybe not getting the attention, kids, etc.? Was that a result of unbalance, or what was it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, like when I reflect on it, I think I've partially blocked it out, but it was lockdown. So like to sell a house, you would have to, like, I'll just give you some of the logistical things so you can sort of get a sense of what life was like. Instead of doing an open house on a Wednesday and a Saturday where you meet people, this happened 104 times. So you would have to turn up to a house, I think for most of the year, and you'd have to do appointments like in 15-minute increments, one person at a time.
Yep.
So like the whole logistics of selling a house every day became Saturday in real estate, because we as an industry in Sydney in particular, we anchor on a Saturday.
Okay.
So what basically happened in 2021 is there was no Saturday. Everyone's working from home.
Oh yeah. True.
Every day became Saturday. So it was like there's 6 Saturdays in a week. And like, if you've got like that, if the opportunity is there, you're just like, that means there was never any time to switch off. Like you never had a Friday afternoon, because every day was Saturday.
Yeah.
So the logistics of how we would sell a house, the volume of people, coming at us or coming at me, because like I had that momentum and I turned one sale into another sale. I went through a whole series of PAs as well in that year, like I literally burnt them out, because like they jump into the role and they've got all this work to manage and they couldn't do it. So I didn't have the right sort of support in the admin sort of category. So like there's deficiencies at work, logistics, which are difficult. You know, your phone rings 50 times a day. You're clearing 100 emails as well. You've got whatever it was, I think a team of 4 or 5 at the time. I'm also a director at Bresic Whitney. So there's larger sort of, you know, there's the whole company to consider as well. And I would say that, and I would wake up, I would go to the gym. I don't even remember going to the gym, if I'm really honest. I don't even remember like 2020. Like now I go to the gym and I'm like, I hang around because I live in Bondi Beach in Sydney, and I'll train and I'll hang around. I get sunlight. I talk to my mates. Like I can remember going to the gym. Like,
Of course.
I don't even remember, but I would get there, train with the PT, not really say anything, race back home, do whatever I did with the kids, sit in traffic for 45. Oh no, actually, I don't even know if there was that much traffic. So that's probably not true. But anyway, I'd commute from Bondi to Balmain, which is a bit of a commute, work a really hard day, and then I'd get home just in time to, you know, read the kids a book, and I'd basically fall asleep while I was reading the kids a book. That's what I remember. I just remember like I've been trying to read Oscar a book, and I'm just like bang, and that was the end of me. I'd wake up in my work clothes, like I'm in my suit, and I've just woken up in my son's bed at like 9:30, and then I just take myself to bed, and that was Groundhog Day. That's just what I did.
Intense.
Like that's so intense. That's not like
That was normal for you at the time.
that was normal. Yeah, like it was Groundhog Day. Get up, train, race back home, get to the office, put out fires all day long. That's how I described it. I was just putting out fires all day long because the deficiencies in my team, which was just a reflection on me, and I just wasn't set up the right way. And you know, also I went in 2021. I went from like doing maybe 65, 70 sales to 104. So if you consider that growth, that growth happened in a time where we had to learn how to do online auctions, show houses one at a time. So I had this monumental growth in my business, and I was trying to learn a whole new system around how we're practicing in real estate because COVID had changed everything.
Do you think if you didn't have a health scare, your life would be the same today? With how you're living?
I needed a health scare because I was too stubborn to listen to anyone. You know when people say to you, you can't push like that, or you can't do that, or
Yeah.
you can't keep getting better every year. When I used to hear stuff like that, I'd be like, shut up, you loser. Like I'm getting better every year. Like look at everything that I've done. I just keep getting better and better and better. That would have been my response to if someone said to me, just take it easy, I'd be like, take it easy. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It just would not have computed. So I needed the health scare, and that the person, you know, I read a lot of books on cancer, right? So when you hear you've got cancer, most people sort of freeze at the appointment, right? So I'll just share a few things that happened to me because this validates the health scare, right? I remember when the doctor rung me and said, you need to come in and see me. So
Were you worried then? Like, were you?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I've read so many books on cancer, or so many biographies, I should say. And I know when they call you and say that you need to come in, and ideally the same day, you know it's serious. So I was like, geez, that's not ideal. And then I told Chloe, because it was a bit of a slight rough patch for us at that point. Just separation comes in waves. Sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not. It's probably one of the more challenging periods. But Chloe insisted that she comes to the doctor with me. And I just knew as soon as I walked in, and I just knew as soon as the doctor, because I knew the doctor, as soon as he picked up my file and looked at me and just the way we walked down the corridor, I knew something was up. And he just sat down and he said to me, Adrian, I hate to say this, but it appears that you got kidney cancer. And I was like, okay. So the room didn't go blank or anything. But my first question was, okay, like, how do I deal with this? So I was like, can we treat it? How early is it? Like, so they were my instinctive questions. How do I beat it? That's sort of what came out of my mind. Now, what I didn't realize is that he got up to get a tissue, and I was like, why is he getting up? And he got a tissue and he walked past me and gave it to Chloe. And then Chloe was crying, but I hadn't noticed her crying when he said that. I was just focused on, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I fix it? It won't beat me. How do I fix it? I didn't know if it was good or bad or whatever it was. So anyway, I then went and saw the specialist, and I was quite relaxed about the whole thing because I just had this belief system. The only time that it really computed that I had cancer was 2 weeks after the operation, because I was given the option of, do you want to biopsy it and find out for sure because they'd done multiple scans, or do you want to just go straight to the operation? And I said to my doctor, mate, just tell me, what do I do? If you were me, what would you do? So
good question.
You've got scans that look like, you've got scans that appear to be cancer. The only way to confirm that is to biopsy, which is a procedure in itself. What would you do? And he said, well, I'd get a good surgeon and I'd cut it out. And I said to him, are you a good surgeon? And he said, yeah. I said, well, cut this fucker out. Let's go. Book me an ASAP. And like, that was the end of it. And I then went to the appointment, the follow-up appointment 2 weeks after my operation. And I saw the doctor then, and he said to me, Adrian, I'm really glad we cut this out because I know that it was a decision to make, because that was cancer and it would have spread. And that was the one moment that I had read about where everything went. I don't remember what he said after that. I just remember in my head, like, he was talking and I was just thinking, holy shit, you just had cancer. That's what I was thinking. You just had cancer and you got to cut out. What the actual fuck?
So in the time between you getting it cut out, you didn't know you had cancer because you didn't do the biopsy.
I
didn't know that.
No, the only way to do the biopsy was a procedure in itself. Now, this is something that I haven't really shared publicly that much, and I just want to tie in my separation to my cancer. When I found out I had cancer, and then to an extent I found out that it was early detection, do you know how happy I was? And why do you think I was happy?
Because you were miserable.
No, because I thought it might give my relationship another go. I thought I could pull my family back together.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a photo that I sent to Chloe of me smiling, going, this is the universe sending me a gift for us to reassess what's important in life and to give this family another shot. I've got the photo. I'll show you later.
Interesting.
I was so happy. I was like, the universe is trying to keep us together. Now, again, I stress, nothing happened in the relationship with Chloe and I. We just sort of drifted apart, and it was a mutual decision that it wasn't going to work. So it's not like, someone ran out of the house or something. It was just like, this isn't working. We just have to call it.
But did it glue you back together for a period of time?
Just a very small period.
Okay.
Yeah. So it did give us another shot, but it fizzled within sort of like, the operation was 3 months. I reckon 8 weeks later, it fizzled again, unfortunately. But that shows you like where I was at and how much I thought about my family. But going back to that moment, I think it was that moment where I'm sitting there in the doctor's surgery and it's 2 weeks after, and I'm like, mate, you just had cancer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I don't remember a word that he said.
Well, you obviously made an instinctive decision that was obviously the right decision, like just cut the fucker out. Did he cut it out? Was it him?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I couldn't understand why it was taking. Okay, so this is what sometimes doctors do. So he said to me, so I saw him for the first time and I got the scans, and he said, I've got the results. I'm going to call you at 7 o'clock in 10 days from now because I have to send these scans to the UK because there has to go to a panel. We're trying to understand, is this cancer? Is it not cancer? But I need to put it to a panel because he said, look at you. You're super fit and healthy. So like, I'm waiting by the phone at 7 o'clock. The bloke didn't call till like 8:45. And I can't tell you, that happened a couple of times. And by the end of it, I was like, I can't deal with this shit anymore. Like, that's not who I am as a person. Like, just let's get going.
Yeah.
And let's just get this sorted. Just get it out of my body right now. So yeah, it's sort of,
that's wild.
Yeah.
Based on your experience now, of where you're up to in life, you're obviously a high performer. Does the cost of high performance always need to cause regret?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But when I answer that question, it's easier for someone who is 43, who is sort of, in a way, I'm not, like, when I say I've set myself up, I've designed a life the way that I want it.
Okay.
Right? So I I have enough financial backing to not have to think or stress about money. So I don't take that for granted. But, in 2008, I put myself in a position where I was like down to my last mortgage repayment. So I made a decision, I will never do that again in my whole life. So I've basically, I've created a structure around me now that's sensible, where I have freedom, options, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't like, just to give context, and this might lose credibility for some of the audience, like I don't own a property right now because of the separation. I mean, I have an asset, which is my ownership in Bresic Whitney, but I don't own a property, I rent. So, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Do you need to?
Well, no, I'm actually so happy with, you've been to my home. I'm
Yeah.
just so happy. My home is my home.
It's a fucking great home.
Yeah, I'm so happy. So I don't know if you asked me that 10 years ago, if I didn't have those things. So if I was younger, I would say, yeah, maybe high performance does have or affect areas of your life. But what I try and teach my staff at the moment, so I have Jasmine, who works with me, who is, I think, 27, or I think she's 27, and Jack, who's early 30s. I have certain things that I've implemented into my practice, which is part of my ARIC talk, which is just looking at my calendar in 7-day increments, slotting in life before you slot in work. Now, they can do that too. So that's why the only difference is I have, perhaps the luxury of going to the gym at 6:30 and training till 7:30 and then hanging around and getting to the office at 10 o'clock if I choose. The only difference is, I would say to them, is you probably have to go to the 5:30 session. That's the compromise between the 10 years. You have to go 5:30 to 6:30, hang around. So there is a way to make it happen. So I don't know how to answer it, but I think there are ways to mitigate, ways to protect your energy and your health so that you can still operate at a high performance. You just have to learn how and have some awareness around that.
What part of the industry do you think creates unhealthy expectations and standards for agents and leaders in real estate?
I think that we celebrate people at the top, but maybe every industry does that. But the people at the top work crazy hours, and the problem is we're an industry of comparison. This person sold that much, that person sold that much, or that person's doing this, and then you hear, that guy did this and he spent this much on a holiday and he's got this car, and that sort of shit is seems to what resonates with a lot of ambitious agents. So I think sometimes what we do is the comparison game is so rife because you can, I've described it to a bodybuilding competition. You're a bodybuilder, you're on stage and you're just flexing, and that person's flexing, and your self-worth is tied into how people judge you.
Yes.
We do the same thing because you go on realestate.com or domain.com and you compare, that many sales, this many sales, but you just don't know the story behind all that. That's what blows me away. So I think, and I've always said this, the industry celebrates the people that are selling the most, but I felt for a very long time that it just celebrated the wrong people. And I've also said very publicly, and I'm glad, I think, respectfully to all the speakers 2 years ago at ARIC, I think Andrew Liddell's talk was outstanding, because I'm interested in someone who is a father of 4, sub 40, who sells 100+ houses a year, who is described by his wife as an incredible husband, who would be described by his children as an incredible father, who is described by me as an incredible leader and business practitioner. They're the people we should celebrate. That's who the industry should celebrate. And Andrew has humility. He's grounded. He's just a beautiful person. That's who we should celebrate within the industry. But I've had a gripe with the industry for a long time where we haven't celebrated people like that. And you know why we didn't celebrate Andrew till recently? Because he was doing 80 sales a year, not 100. So as soon as you crack that sort of, he just had to do a little bit extra to get everybody's attention. But he was the same person when he was doing 80 deals a year. But the industry wasn't interested till you clock to a certain level, which then gives you the credibility.
Do you think the industry will ever, I really appreciate that perspective. Obviously, someone like you care about that stuff, being a good father, being a good husband. You put a lot of value in those areas, which I'm sure, and so do I. So it's important. But do you think the industry will ever celebrate people who are just not all about clocking how many deals, how much GCI, but they're crushing in other areas of their life?
I think it's starting to change.
Okay.
I think the reason why I think it's starting to change, Benny, is because for the first time I saw the response that I had after ARIC, and also with my podcast and the episode that I recorded with my ex-wife, Chloe, the amount of messages I got. I still, this was a really beautiful moment. After ARIC, I went to dinner and that night, and someone sent a bottle of wine to my table. And I was a bit confused, but the waitress said, that guy video sent you a bottle. And I was like, oh, thank you. I didn't understand. And he came up to me at the end and he said, I just want to say something to you. He didn't tell me his name. He said, your speech is going to save a lot of lives. And I sort of looked at him almost a bit confused. And he's like, I can't believe you said what you said, because I've never heard that come out of an agent's mouth, but that's going to save a lot of lives. And he was getting emotional when he was telling me. I'm just like, I wish I could go back in that moment and give the guy a hug, but I was with 15 of my colleagues and he's given me a bottle of wine to say thank you. And even as he walked away, like, I don't know, he was just like, thank you, like gesturing thank you. And I was like, oh my God, like what is going on here? So it's interesting. And I think that does resemble a lot of change that's starting to happen. And I think that's just, I do feel like there's always going to be a portion of agents, and my world is sales agents, that are super ambitious and they're going to, they'll work 10, 12, 14 hours, whatever they have to do. But I also do think that maybe the industry there is a subtle shift where people just have a certain level of success they want to get to, but they want to do it in a healthy way.
I love that story that you just shared about that guy sending you the wine and recognizing, acknowledging you. Like that, I said to you, thank you at the beginning around your talk, because it was fucking refreshing. Like it was refreshing. Like I saw a slide about your numbers. I saw another slide about things that you audit, like I think it was like buyer work, your database, product knowledge.
Yeah.
And then the rest was just real shit around the struggles that you've been through, the awareness pieces. And I just really resonated with it. I was just like, this is how it should be. Like people talking real shit, because it's not always like 2021 was your best year on numbers, but it was a terrible year for you internally. And like people getting up on stage don't share that shit.
You know what's really interesting? If that guy's listening, I'd love for him to reach out to me so I know who he is, because he gave me a really beautiful gift that night. Last night, knowing that we would talk about this, I listened to the talk.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I got the phone call to talk at ARIC, I was driving to Byron Bay to spend a week in Byron with my family for Easter. And the call came through. I didn't answer it, but then a message came through saying, John McGrath wants you to talk at ARIC. And I was like, oh, wow. And I'd sort of written back, okay, let me think about it. And then the message back was, I didn't realize till 2 hours later, okay, cool, you're locked in. And I was like, we're starting communication tonight. But I've got to say, like, in that first hour, and ARIC, I believe, is the biggest Australasian conference in the world. I don't know, maybe 5,000 attendees is that's the number I keep hearing. I don't know if it's true or not. But I felt this, I don't know how I felt when they said to me, I felt a bit emotional in the car, because I was like, wow, the industry is interested in my message. And then I felt this sense of responsibility to try and cram 23 years worth of what I'd learned into a 15-minute talk, which it went for 22 minutes anyway. So I wasn't able to do it. But I took it really seriously. And I firstly at work, I got some A2 pieces of paper, and I literally wrote down every thought that came to mind about real estate and that I'd learned. Prioritize the relationship over the transaction, like vendor management pieces, how to set a reserve. I did this whole massive board at work. There was like 100 points on there. And I'm like, okay, how do I trim this down and what do I talk about? But as I practiced that for 2-3 weeks, I felt more connected to the story that I wanted to share. So it's funny because I did it, and I practiced it a lot. But last night, because I knew we were talking about this, I listened to it in the sauna. I was having a sauna at home. And this might sound a bit ridiculous, but literally I got emotional listening to it, like hearing myself talk, because like it was authentic.
Yeah.
I that is like the videos I left for my kids, all that sort of stuff. Like, fuck, that was hard to do. Like, try and leave a video and explain to someone who you are and how you feel about them and what you want for them in the future. Like, it's hard. Even the hardest part was describing who I am. Like, who am I? What are my values? And I hadn't really thought about that or articulated that or written that down or spent time. I just put this video there and started talking. So, you know, I watched it last night in the sauna, and I felt like I watched it more like I was watching somebody else, because I was so ingrained in it when I did it. And I was like, yeah, that's really like, yeah, it made me well up in the shower, like in the sauna. And I just started like crying while I'm listening to myself talk. And fuck.
It was real.
Yeah.
A lot of the talks, I'm assuming, right, are just the same stuff, like doing the same activities, daily activities to hit certain results. And, you know, yours is just, I'm assuming it's just a different angle.
Yeah, I did about a minute of sales training, and I did that because I didn't know if I deserved the stage and to share my story and if that would, you know, resonate. So I felt like, let me just give people something. So if they don't like my story, at least they can take away the framework that I've used or that I've based my career on and how I've built an office with Andrew in the Balmain branch of Bresic Whitney. At least give them that and then talk about the story. So... yeah.
You don't come across as the typical real estate agent in my perspective, right? Not that I'm in Sydney anymore, but you just don't come across, you don't have all this the same things going on. Like, what do you think your competitive advantage is? Like, what do you think you do differently, which sets you apart from that stereotype typical real estate agent?
Yeah. I just feel very comfortable being myself. So how I am at an appointment is how I am in real life with people and how I am right now. So I don't like put a persona on. I don't feel like this, like I don't like being rejected, obviously in a commercial or in any sense, right? But I don't really have a lot of fear around that. So this is what I offer. If it works for you, let's talk. If it doesn't, then that's okay as well. So I'm probably just at that point of my career.
Has it always been like that? When you said like not wearing the different masks, like 2021, was that?
No, I think I was very fortunate to meet Shannon Whitney and have Shannon Whitney as a mentor, because Shannon just struck me as someone so different to anybody else I'd met in the industry. And I think maybe I just tried to model him or model his authenticity. And there was probably a minute where I was trying to be like him.
Okay.
I will share this, right? I went to South Africa with Shannon in 2013. And I really aspired to be Shannon. I love the guy, right? No one's done. He's just, you know how you meet people and they just change your life?
He's an impressive guy.
He just met me, and for some reason, like the universe lined us up, and he just changed my whole life. So my life would be so different without Shannon. So I'm so grateful for him. But I remember in 2013, we got in a taxi in South Africa, and he was talking to the taxi driver, female taxi driver, and he asked all these sort of curious, inquisitive questions, right? And by the end of the 20-minute drive, he'd built really good rapport with her. But he did that through his line of questioning and not trying to be liked. And then for whatever reason, we pulled over somewhere, she waited, and then I got in the front, and I hadn't really said much, I just observed. And then I sat in the front, and I was just me. And I made a laugh from the outset. And I remember going back, and I made a list. Shannon's qualities in the taxi, Adrian's qualities. And they were so different. But we both ended up at the same place where I think the taxi driver liked us, right? He just did it through questions and like a real solid base. And I just did it through maybe some charm and humor, whatever. Maybe I'm delusional about that, but that's what I think happened. And I made the list. And at that point, I realized we're different, but the common thread was authenticity. Just be who you are. So I've basically, I don't know, for a long time, I've just felt very comfortable with who I am as a person. I've got, a friend who was a builder and a successful builder, and I would observe him as well. And I just felt like I'd observe him taking a work call, and the way he spoke to me was how he talked to clients. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I probably just had that was a little snippet of something, but I just formed this view that, I'm just going to be myself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what I feel comfortable in is that my skill set is as good, I just refer to it as black belt. I think real estate, just as a career, sales, I think the buyer's agency practice might be a little bit more accelerated, but I think I love the jiu-jitsu analogy, right? So it takes 2 years to get a blue belt, right? And then it takes another 2 years to get a purple belt, and another 2 years to get a brown belt. And then year 10, you get your black belt. I reckon that is very similar to real estate. I think in the first 2 years, if you partner up with the right person, you can learn most of the skills you need. And then from blue to purple, it's just learning, high level techniques. And then from, let's just say, when you're brown, you're already a black belt, but you just need more time on the mat.
With those 2 years, increments, you're not guaranteed to get the new belt?
No.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed. Okay.
So it's just a general
general rule.
It takes about 2 years to jump between belts in jiu-jitsu.
If you do all the right things.
If you do the right things, yeah. And I feel like that is a very good comparison to real estate. So my skill set is a black belt. That's what I would say. Can I refine it? Yeah. Can a brown belt tap me out? Yeah, of course it can catch me out. So, but its skill set is black belt. Track record is solid because I've done the right thing for 20 years now. I've treated the general public, clients, and competitors with the utmost respect. I've treated staff that are with me and staff that have left with the utmost respect. I've played the long game. I didn't even realize I was playing the long game, but I've played the long game.
23 years.
Yeah, 23 years of doing the right thing. Now, obviously, I've made some mistakes and some stupid decisions and probably had some stupid conversations and done some stuff. So I'm owning that too. But largely, it's positive. So when I wrap all that up and then I just, have become more comfortable with who I am as a person, then I'm just happy to have conversations with people. Like you just talk to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, I feel more comfortable being myself than putting on a persona, and I don't really wear a suit anymore.
Good.
Yeah, I've had a lot of positive feedback about that. But I think one of the reasons why sometimes you have to wear a suit is because when you're at an open house, the general public don't know who the real estate agent is. So true. So they know who I am now because I think if I went and did an open house in Double Bay, I might have to put a suit on.
Yeah.
Because they won't know who I am. But certainly my core market, most people know, and I can greet a lot of people by name now. So
how do you feel not wearing a suit?
I feel great. I still all my clothes that I wear are still tailored in the sense that
you look great.
Yeah, I buy all my stuff from P. Johnson, which is the same place that people buy their suits from. So I'm still I still feel very comfortable and professional, but sometimes I really dial it down. But no, I feel like me. That's the best thing. And then sometimes, occasionally, if I wear a suit, and I'm not saying that I won't ever wear a suit again because I've got bloody 15 of them or maybe 20 of them that are all nice in the cupboard. I probably should wear them at some point. But when I wear it, I like it too. So I won't do a suit and tie though.
The reason I asked is when I exited CH and I stopped wearing suit, that whole kind of stuff, I actually didn't realize how uncomfortable I was wearing, just how much it wasn't me wearing that outfit. And until I stopped wearing it, I was like, I just feel better. So it was this weird thing that I just had no idea that, but it's great that, you've chosen not to wear it. You just wear what you want now. Smart clothes.
Yeah, I felt that way with a tie. I never felt wearing a tie comfortable. I've worn a tie, but I just never felt that comfortable wearing a tie. And now, again, you're just getting me when I meet you. So, yeah.
You're the first partner at Bressa Whitney?
First external partner. Yeah.
External. So, and you came from Cobden and Hayson before that?
Correct, yeah.
You mentioned Shannon's name. I think he's a super impressive dude. I've met him a few times and enjoyed our conversations for sure, like super insightful. Definitely can see why you admire him and are inspired by him because I'm the same. I think he should be that standout figure in the industry. I think that people should look at from an industry perspective. He seems like a pretty introverted maybe guy or keeps to himself. Maybe that's why he's not out there a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm just curious, like what are some traits that you've admired that he has that you've implemented into your life over the years?
Okay, I'll talk about him. Humility is he's when you talk, okay, here's a few things. This is what I love about the guy. When you talk to Shannon, you talk to Shannon. He's there. And not only is he there, but he asks you questions back. I remember, and like, here's a disclaimer, this is my second divorce. My first one was a little bit different because I was 18 and we separated when I was 31. And that felt more like a classic case of people just growing apart, right? So I remember when I separated that first time, Shannon called me. And, you know, people did try and call me and comfort me, but he called me and he just asked me all these questions. It was like so, I don't know, like therapeutic. I don't know. He was asking me all these questions and I'm doing all the talking as opposed to people trying to comfort me. And I was just like, wow. I remember also being with him at a coffee shop and him just asking me these questions. And I honestly, for a second, like dazed out. I was like, where am I here? Like he was so present that I don't feel like I'd ever felt that present with another human being before. Like that, you know, that connected because he was just asking and that's just what he did. When you're there, you were there. That's the whole thing. That's why he ran late for every bloody appointment too. But that's just what, you know, how Shannon was. So the first thing was his presence. When he was there, he was there. The second thing is he never, and still to this day, doesn't like the way the industry behaves. And I remember him saying to me, like, agents think they're smarter than their clients. They're not. And agents try and, you know, withhold and manipulate situations so a deal can get across the line. And you should give the client way more credit than that. And you should give them options. I remember him saying to me, I remember I lost the listing once and I lost it to like an agent that I didn't think was very strong. And I said to Shannon, let's call and fight for this. And he said, mate, I'm not responsible for people's bad decisions. I was like, oh my God. So like he had that sort of philosophical approach. His ability to qualify any situation, be it work, personal, anything, unbelievable.
Is that through just incredible questions?
Yeah, he just asks. He's like you. He just asks the best questions that you hadn't thought about, and everything he does is thoughtful. Everything is thoughtful. I don't think there was like one point as well, like he's just not, his self-awareness is unbelievable. Self-conscious is what I'm looking, like he's just not, I remember once he did an interview with the AFR and he had all these, like he had some moles cut out on his face and I was like, why don't you defer the interview for the photos? It's like, why? He looked at me like confused, like, why would I do that? And I was like, oh my God, he's so comfortable with who he is as a person. So like he had all these qualities that seemed to be the opposite to the industry. He wasn't fast, he was slow. He wasn't flashy, he was humble, but he had probably more money than anyone. I don't know, he was caring, not like insincere. I don't know, there's just something about Shannon. He knew, I reckon at one point, not only all the staff in the business, he always knew that, but I reckon he knew everyone's partners' names and everyone's kids' names and what was going on in everyone's life. That's when he was just practicing as like he was in charge of, like he wasn't practicing as an agent. He does that now because we have our CEO is now Tom McGlynn.
Okay.
So when he was in that role, he just knew everything about everybody. Like remarkable.
He seems like a great example of what the industry needs to be. I mean, you've obviously been at Bresic Whitney a long time, and I mean, Bresic Whitney's just from the outside looks like an incredible company. Like just the culture, the way it's run, the consistency. When I was on the ground, it was just super consistent. It was a bit like Virgin. like when I jump on a Virgin plane, I have that experience. It's very consistent. And I feel like Bresic Whitney, whether you're in the inner west or you're in the inner city or wherever you are, like you get the same customer experience.
It's such a like amazing business with amazing people. So, I mean, that's Shannon. There's also the Ivan Bresic part. Like you just, when Ivan walks into a room, you know he's arrived. There's just something about him energetically. So when you sort of merge someone like Shannon with someone like Ivan, the business was always going to crush it. They are just, and you know, like I've observed growth within them both, but you know, Ivan was largely, you know, Shannon was, you know, had, you know, ideas and sort of wasn't practicing as an agent. Ivan was practicing and producing enormous amounts of sort of sales for the business and opportunities to grow the staff. So like that's what they did together. So it's an incredible business. And as a result, you know, there were some incredible people in the business. So Will Phillips, you know, Andrew Liddell, there's been so many, right? And now, you know, when you look at the current management group, which is Tom McGlynn, our CEO, like he's such an impressive person. And then you got Will Goss, who sits in as like a GM type role. Like Gossie's incredible too. So we're just a business that had great foundations that sort of developed and influenced a group of people. And those people now are in sort of leadership positions. And because they're in those leadership positions, we're a great business.
Yeah.
It filters from the top down. I've always said it, culture is the most impressive thing about a business. What people say about a business, you know, like people that are in it, out of it, you know, what if you said to one of our staff, what's Bresic Whitney like to work? Like, what's it like to work at Bresic Whitney? I would assume that the answer would be like, it's an amazing place.
Yes.
You know, or if you said to someone who left 2 years ago, what was Andrew like as a leader? I bet they would say he was amazing. And I think that's really beautiful.
I think like getting back to the word consistency, I find that everyone at Bresic Whitney just seems to be like sharp, like on the ball, like typically asking good questions, just onto it, right? And getting back to the, you know, culture, what you said, why do you think it's got such good culture? Because it's easy to say the word culture and everyone talks about culture.
It's leadership.
So leadership.
The company is, so a decision was made, and what we did in the business, and this is sort of circa 2013, 2014, we started working with Maya Sanovich. Do you know Maya?
You mentioned it to me before.
Okay, yeah. So what we basically did is firstly, we pulled the directors in, which was, I mean, it was only smalls, myself, Shannon, Ivan, Will. It was pretty tight. But then what Shannon realized is that we needed a leadership group. So we needed, you know, the leaders in the business, not necessarily the titles, but people that we thought had leadership capabilities that could influence. So we established this group there was probably 20 of us. And we would meet every fortnight for a full day on a Friday. We weren't allowed to look at our phones. That's the decision we made. And we did that, I don't know, for years. Just meeting. Sometimes it was once a month, but typically, from what I remember, it was every fortnight. And it was just the emergence of this leadership group. And we would talk about our values, our vision, our purpose, issues that were going on in the company, how we would address those. And they were such important years for our business because we empowered people that were leaders and we all sort of did work on ourselves. Yep. And as a result, I feel like that's one of the pivotal points in the business where the business actually grew up and matured a lot. So I would say our culture is directly related to our people, directly related to our leadership. And a lot of that you could trace back to work that was done over 10 years ago in the business when we were doing this work on a regular basis. And now we're just fortunate that we've got people in, you know, senior positions like Tom McGlynn and Gossie and, you know, obviously Andrew, myself and Chris Nunn, who are still like, you know, carrying that, you know, we're still doing what we can to be leaders within the business.
I love that. That seems quite different, like that whole leadership team that not, you don't have to be a real estate agent, I'm assuming.
No, well, the leadership team was like, there were property managers in there. There were, I can't remember like if there were administrative people in there, but it was just people that we thought would be, you know, had leadership capabilities and influence over other staff. And so that's how it worked, yeah.
Is there another company like at the scale of Bresic Whitney that's like similar. And the reason I ask that is because I've always thought Melbourne's got a really sophisticated real estate market. Like some of the brands there, you know, like Jellis Craig, Marshall White, Hocking Stewart. Like I find it's sharp. Like these boutique private businesses, I think they've done a really good job. But then I look at Sydney, and like the only thing that I can really think about from a sophisticated brand, like, is Bressig Whitney. Is there, like, I mean, I'm a bit out of the market, but is there another business?
I'm a bit biased. So I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard of one. I mean, I hear things about other big businesses, but I don't hear positive things about them. So I maybe I'm delusional or naive about it, but I'd like to think that there are positive things about our business, and that's why we continue to grow and expand and get better and better and better. That I don't know. Like, I know the guys. I don't know many agents in Melbourne, but I do know the guys at Jellis Craig. And I know Andy McCain, their CEO, and like I find them super impressive as well. Sharp. Yeah, Sam Rigg, I met him recently. Like, well, there's so many of them, so I won't mention everybody. But I just really like them as a company and what they're doing and what they stand for. But no, I don't know of anybody else in Sydney that's doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say it if I knew. I'd say, this company is doing really well, but no, I don't know of anybody else.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, because I was just like, it's great. I mean, it sets you guys so far apart. You strike me as someone who's got great natural leadership capabilities. I know, like, a leader in everyone's eyes is interpreted differently, but like when I say the word like leadership, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've thought about this a lot. I think leadership's an interesting thing. You become a leader because you have certain qualities, right? And those qualities make you a leader, if that makes sense. So I'll sort of reverse engineer the concept of what leadership is. So because I do this and this and this and this, that technically makes me a leader, right?
Okay.
But when I think about the things that I do, and I'm sort of exploring this in the masculinity space at the moment because it's something that really fascinates me. I think, I don't know, like almost the bar's pretty low. I'd say it in this order. I'm fit and healthy. I love my kids, and I take being a father as the most important role in the world. I love my work, and I've got to a point where like I perform in the top 10% of agents, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I have colleagues that do the same thing. Outside of that, I just feel like I'm just a normal sort of good person. There's nothing like. So as a result, that sort of makes you a leader. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else would make me a leader. Like, am I resilient? Yeah, I guess so. Do I look for the I don't know. I don't know what attributes make me a leader, but I don't like it's. I find it hard to answer because if you said, what is a leader? A leader is this person. I just think there's just stuff that I do, but I'll say this. I just think what I do, everyone does. Sometimes people say to me, no, that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we practice as an office, let's say in the Balmain office at Bressig Whitney, I just assume everybody practices like that because I have no visibility. The same way we are culturally, I just assume every office practices the same way. They share data, they work together, they have meetings, they cross-sell, they do all this sort of stuff. I just think that's the norm. So this is where I'm probably a little bit removed from society around when I look at Andrew and I see him and he's super fit and healthy. And that's mentally, physically, everything. He's a great husband, great father, great practitioner. I'm like, doesn't everybody have an Andrew in their office? And so this is my point. I'm like, oh shit, not everyone has an Andrew.
But you've attracted this. This is why I'm trying to like learn about it, because I don't think everyone's an Andrew and I don't think everyone has that. But like, he's in your office. You've obviously got Jack as well. Like you've got this incredible group of people. And I'm just trying to work out like, you know, you're obviously a magnet to that. Like you bring them in and then they get nurtured and they flourish.
It's funny. In my ARIC talk, I said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Because I love that saying.
True.
I don't know if it's coincidence or by design, but God, I got some solid people around me. And, it's funny, even with my podcast, I could just interview like all the people around me because they all bring something to the table. Like my first 3 interviews, 4 or 5, if I include yourself and Andrew, are just people that are close to me. I haven't even gone external. I'm just going to my inner circle.
Yeah.
And there's more that I could do as well. And I will do more. But I don't know if that's by design or if it's coincidence or if I got lucky or if I've created it. I don't actually know. But I just happen to have amazing people around me.
Mm. You're obviously doing something because those people typically would leave you if it wasn't great. And so like I do think you've got just natural, like just integrity, there's transparency. I'm assuming you're helping these people like Jack and stuff like meet their goals, like of what they want to do with their life. Like they're flourishing, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, definitely. Even if I look at my immediate team and there's Jack, there's Jasmine, there's Danny, there's Troy. I'll just focus on, because it's like a sales topic, Jasmine and Jack. They inspire me so much. And I said this at my talk, they are everything that the industry needs. They're everything that the community needs. They are trustworthy the same way I assume the public would trust their doctor, which is rare in an industry where, we're not considered very highly.
But then Shannon, you mentioned that earlier, like
Shannon, trustworthy.
It's coming down, right? That whole.
Yeah. And so like when I think about Jasmine and Jack, like I feel so unbelievably grateful that I get to spend my time with them. Jack's my reverse mentor. So I go to him because he's early 30s and I'll say to him, Jack, this happened. All right. Let's say, I won't give a specific example, but just let's say it's an argument that I've had with Chloe, because the process of separation is up and down, right? And let's say that's relating to something that I've seen on social media, right? Someone my age might say this, but I'll go to Jack and I'll say, this happened. What do you think? And he'll challenge me on it and give me a completely different perspective. So I work with someone who now is a reverse mentor for me.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine is my biggest supporter. Like everyone needs someone like that in their corner. Someone that she believes in me more than I believe in me.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's always there and she expresses that all the time and she always says how grateful she is. And I'm looking at her going, you're setting the world on fire. Like, wow. I interviewed them both yesterday and I was just like, oh my God, look at my team.
Yeah.
My team is unbelievable. So I don't know how I got there, Benny, but I just maybe I just hit the jackpot. I got lucky.
It's a reflection of you. It's a reflection of you. And I don't know Jasmine. I met her yesterday, but I know Jack. He's obviously good friends with Rachel, and I hear their conversations. Like he's a sharp guy for his age.
Unbelievable.
Like, you're right. Like he challenges thinking. He's got interesting perspective. He's very impressive. Like I didn't realize his age. And I was like, wow. Like he's impressive.
He's unbelievable. As is Jasmine. They are both. I'm recording them on a podcast yesterday, and then they started chatting between themselves.
Mm.
And I'm just listening to them. I'm like, okay, wow, I'm like the host of this thing. And I'm just like vibing what they're saying because they're just talking to each other. And it's like, wow. So the only value I think I can add in this is I do think you become like the people you hang around. And I do believe the saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Mm.
My closest male friends, all of them inspire me. All of them. And we all have the same, like we all train, we all have ambition. I believe that they're all really good people, really good men. And that's who I get to hang around and who I get to communicate with. So that's the more social sort of side of things. Then I've got, I put on in my ARIC talk, like the team that I assembled around me, which, I put my PT in there as well. And, I listed Ivan and, so many people. I acknowledge Shannon and Andrew. So like, I've just got all that. But what I will say is you can also decide, and this is just a bit of a tip. So my rule on the way to work is for the first 20 minutes of the drive, I listen to a podcast. So you can decide who you drive to work with.
Yeah, I like that.
So I make it a non-negotiable that I'll have someone sit in the car with me on that drive. And it could be Stephen Bartlett or whoever it is that he's interviewing. It could be, I don't know, Jay Shetty. It could be that Lewis guy. Like there's so many options. So even that, like So I have invisible, like not invisible, but I have people that I use because you have access to them, and I see them as part of my friendship group as well. Does that
I
make
love
sense?
that. Yeah, like invisible mentors.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's so true. You're right. Like, yeah, I love that. We had dinner one time, Rachel, you and I. Where were we? Potts Point.
No,
That
sorry.
Greek restaurant on the corner.
Oh, Apollo. Yes.
And we haven't spoken about this since then, but there was something that I just was really impressed by that you did. So you went through like a bit of a listing. I'm not sure if you recall, but like a bit of like a listing presentation, because like I haven't heard many, but I mean, obviously it wasn't a full blown presentation, but you gave me a full high level, and it was detailed, and I was just like, wow. I remember speaking to Rachel in the car after, and I was like, what did I learn from that? Like deep level of conviction with how you were speaking, deep level of confidence. Like confidence was a big one, and authority. Like I was just like, wow, that's impressive. Like, and so I guess I wanted to ask, like, you hear about a lot of listing presentations, I'm sure. Do you have like a bit of an unconventional way that you do it? Or because I know a lot of people just follow the same trainers and it seems like they do the same thing. I was just really impressed by your presentation. I wanted to know, is it different to the others that you know of, or how does that work?
Yeah. I think there's probably two parts to my presentation, but even presentation is a loose term because it's more of a conversation. Right? I focus on two things in particular. The first is I just try and differentiate, and I help the sort of consumer understand this, between what they're about to be told, because you interview 3 agents, right? Everyone's selling the dream. Everyone loves the house. Everyone's got a buyer. Everyone's going to get you a price, right? So what my view is if those 3 people were telling the truth, then the auction clearance rate would be 100%. Why doesn't everything sell at auction 4 weeks later? So obviously there's a disconnect. And in my market, the clearance rate in the last few weeks has been sub 20%. So my question is, what happened to all those conversations? I've got a buyer. I love your house. I've got this. A whole dream, right? And I say to people, everyone loves your house, so you get the first report. Then they'll give you 3 negative pieces of feedback that they made up themselves and 2 that a buyer gave it. Like I've just been in this forever. I've seen all the reports, right? And you get all this low feedback and bullshit. So one of the things I focus on is I say to people, let's not focus on what people are going to say. Why don't we focus on what they've done? So what I'm interested in sharing with you is these are my last 100 sales. This is the average time it's taking me to sell a house. This is my personal auction clearance rate. And I also monitor my pricing accuracy. So my numbers are pretty simple. My average selling time has actually increased a little bit recently to 19 days.
Okay.
There's obviously 100 sales, just rounded off to that. My auction clearance rate has hovered around 90%. In fact, it's been above 90%. It's just taken a little dent recently because the market has shifted a bit. And my pricing accuracy advice is 94% accurate. So I basically spin that back to people and say, what does that mean for you? If you pick me, there's a 94% chance that you'll be sold in the next 18 days for the price that I just told you.
Nice.
And that's all I can offer you. That's my insurance policy. I would ask you to, perhaps canvas that same thing with the others. Because why am I competing with someone who's maybe sold 3 and their clearance rate's 15%? Like is this a level playing field, this conversation? So that's one thing. And then I've just got a view on like how to go about, the process. And I talk about 2 important aspects, which I probably conveyed to you at the time, which is I think every campaign should be underpinned by urgency and buyer confidence, because those 2 things lead to competition or the perception of competition. So how do you insert urgency and how do you instill confidence in a buyer in a 4-week program? That's all I do. I just talk about that. It's just a concept. It's my concept. It's funny because when we talk about listing presentations, I've had multiple ways where I've sat in people over the years where I've put this performance forward and it's worked. They pick me, but it's always been truly what I believe. Now what I talk about is probably a little bit more technical, but also a lot of the business I do now is uncontested. So they're not talking to anybody else. Like I think my last 3 things that I've signed up, they didn't talk to anybody else.
Do you think your conversations have changed post transformation of you, like let's say post 2023, with how your conversations you're having with vendors now? Are they different now to 2021?
They probably are a bit, but what's really interesting, and this is more about the general public. Shannon is now trading as an agent, right?
Okay.
His skill set has to be the highest, absolute highest, right? And he does it with authenticity, no bullshit. But do you know something really interesting? I reckon he loses heaps of listings. So if he is what the industry and the community need, why doesn't he get the business? It's a very good question, because I'm sure he's leveling with people. You know who he is. You know that you could trust him. He has no desire to apply pressure in any area. He's just there to offer you representation, and it's the highest possible level. Yet I bet he loses a lot of listings. I know he does because we talk about it.
Why?
Because there's still a desire for someone to go in and say, I can get you this.
Oh, and bullshit. Okay, I got it. Yeah. And then they've got to condition the vendor, and which brings, okay, got it. So Shannon's just being truthful.
Yeah. I've lost more business this year, ironically, than I have ever before in a 6-month window. And the majority of that was I was giving good advice, I believe. And some of that was purely that others were prepared to give different advice to what I was. Some of it's come back to me now. Some of it's gone on the rental market with me, with us, I should say. And some of that went on to sell for, people who said, I wish I should listen to you. So that's sort of like, that's pretty interesting.
For someone like looking to get into this industry, like obviously real estate, everyone just thinks, shiny teeth and nice cars and a lot of money, et cetera. Like, if someone wants to get into this industry, what do you think they really need to be thinking about and considering in order to really do well?
I can only talk about, so I won't talk about the buyer's agent space. That's your domain. Yep. In the selling agent space, I say to everybody, this is no different to an apprenticeship. The first 4 years, you're just learning. Like if you think, and I've never watched one of those real estate programs.
Either have I.
Then that's just not reality, like at all, not even close. And, we are to an extent, some of us are just telemarketers when you think about it, because we spend all day on the phone and we're trying to canvass people that want to buy or sell a house. I think the first 4 years is about learning. Around year 4, year 5, you'll start to get some momentum. And then to have a really sort of profitable career, it takes 10 years. Now, that's not what everybody says. And I know there's some people that would challenge that. And that's cool. I'm just making a general observation. When I look at all the people that are killing it, there's a theme here. They've all been doing it for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So it does take a while. And think about it. Let's say you want to come into my market right now. You have to compete with me and Andrew. Andrew's the one I'm worried about, right? Because there's a good chance if someone wakes up today and decides to sell, that they'll probably talk to Brezzy Whitney. If our market share is 30, sometimes as high as 40%, they're probably going to want to talk to us. And that means they'll probably land with maybe Andrew or someone from our team, and our team's so strong as well. But then there's also a bunch of others that have been there forever. Well, just as long, 10 years plus, like that are directors of the business. So like, what do you think's going to happen if you decided to start selling real estate inbound? Why would somebody use you?
Very difficult.
But I'm just honest with people about this. Why would they use you? I don't know why they would, because I wouldn't. I'd use Andrew, or, if I had to not pick Andrew, there's probably a couple of others I'd pick as well. But why would I do that? So it's just time in the market. And plus, I don't think someone who's been doing it for a year or two should be in front of a house to sell.
Yeah.
So how could you know what's going on yet? You should learn that through, good leadership and, through perhaps your boss or whoever it is, another agent sharing that with you. But you're delusional if you think you can handle and tackle everything. I'm at a point now where I would say it's probably been the last time somebody suggested something or did something that I hadn't encountered before was probably 4 years ago. Like no one's coming up with anything new now because I've been doing it for so long. And all that, and that situation there, I'll be specific, was there was a buyer's agent at an auction who probably knew she was on the ropes. So she bid against herself again to try and knock the other buyer off. And I thought that's actually pretty smart.
Okay.
That's actually pretty smart because I think she knew she was on the ropes. What she didn't know is that I already prepped the other buyer and said, this is what's probably going to happen. I didn't think she bid against herself, but when she did that, I said, that's intimidation, and people only intimidate when they're running out of money. So as a result, she put a bid in and she bought it. And the buyer's agent actually said, he's bloody prepped that buy well, hasn't he? And it was true. It was actually quite a good moment. But you know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
takes years before, like you sort of learn how the whole thing works, but you need to learn how everything works. So I just think if you want to get in, but just understand there's some hard work, some long hours. Unfortunately, the concept of balance is going to be very difficult
Yeah.
because you're going to have to outwork your competition. I look at, and I'll give you a success story. Zach has been in our business because I'll take it out of my team. Zach works for Andrew. He's been in the business for 5 months now.
Okay.
We promote the buyer channel going in. So what I mean by that is if you're going to start working at Brezzy Whitney, don't worry about finding a seller. Go and find someone that wants to buy and try and pair them up with a property and build a relationship with them. Now, Zach has done that. He's just come in, started calling old books, making a list. As a result, he's been able to convert, this is a guess, maybe 13 or 14 people, which I don't think any senior agent's probably done in our market. And as a result, now he's got 2 or 3 listings because those people have said, wow, you were so helpful, we want to sell.
Incredible.
Right? And luckily, he does have 3 years experience with another agent. And he's got Andrew guiding him now, which is sort of interesting. But do you see how he's gone a different channel? But I'll tell you what Zach does. And I'm not promoting this, but if you want it, it's what he does. He gets in at 7:30 every day and he probably finishes at 7 every night. So he's realized the way to outdo me and outdo Andrew is to outwork us and to build the best relationships with buyers in the market better than what we can. And then that's led to listing opportunities for him. Pretty smart.
Pretty smart. One of the things I didn't say with Brezzy Whitney was obviously consistency, but buyer management. Like the buyer management, I think is the best I've seen. Just with how everyone at Brezzy Whitney work buyers. I've never seen a company that's so congruent.
I think that's because both Ivan and Shannon realized in the early days, like what are the options? Like if you use Will Phillips as an example. So you know Will, don't you? Yeah. Okay. So Willie's left Sydney and he's gone to Byron Bay. I heard this recently. Like I know he told me, and I heard it on a podcast in terms of what he focused on. He just got in and started focusing on buyers. Yeah. He already had the skill set. He just had to find out who the buyers are. And then all he has to do is find a seller. And then he can tell him he's what, number 1 in Byron Bay within 12 months. Like it's staggering. So I think what he did is just what Shannon and Ivan realized, which is you can start and you can go cold call or door knock and try and find that one person. Or you could go a different avenue. And if you use the concept of building relationships, build relationships with people that are in real estate mode. And then maybe those relationships might lead to, different relationships, which are seller relationships. It's just our model, what we do as a company. I did it when I started Balmain.
You followed that.
Well, I started, and because I'd come off a non-compete clause, I had to sit out for 3 months. Luckily, Ivan had listed something in Birchgrove. And I still remember 80 names or something in the book. And the second I came out of the non-compete, I just called that book probably 10 times. And all I did was buyer, seller, database, categorize, and I turned that into another listing. So luckily I had a book and my focus was buyers.
It makes sense, like thinking about what you're sharing. But I mean, it's interesting how Brezzy Whitney is only one of the companies that really does it so well. Like buyer management.
I think it's part of our culture. You know, it's also fascinating. So in those early days, I was working with so this is how I got my first listing.
Okay.
Actually, it's a good story. Okay. So I'm at an open house and I'm learning how Shannon works. So I'm on Louisa Road, which is considered one of the best streets in the area. And I'm at the door taking names and numbers. And it's my first open house with Shannon. So I take a name and number, take a few names and numbers, and Shannon comes up to me. And he said, all right, tell me about those people. I'm like, what do you want to know? I said, that's their mobile number. He's like, are they buying? I was like, how would I know? I just took their details. And he's like, why wouldn't you ask them? I was like, I've never asked anyone that. And I'd been doing real estate for almost 10 years.
God.
And he's like, mate, wait here. He runs over to them, comes back. He goes, they've been looking for 3 months. They're this, they're considering this. They're buyers. And I was like, okay. Then, fast forward 2 weeks, I'm trying to give you the context here. A buyer's agent comes back through, but I'd understood from the first week that he didn't have a client or his client didn't have enough money. But the buyer's agent's come back. So Shannon's come up to me and said, the buyer's agent's back. Oh, no. It was a couple that had come back. And Shannon said, why are they back? I said, oh, they must be interested. He goes, but last week they told us they couldn't afford it. Can they afford it now? I was like, I don't know. I didn't ask them. So he goes over, asks them, and he comes back, goes, "Mate, nothing's changed. They're just here because they want to look at it." But I would have been telling the client that's a second inspection.
Yes.
That's what the industry would have been doing. And the buyer's agent example I gave you was the buyer's agents come in and Shannon said, "Do they have a client for this?" I was like, "I don't know. I didn't know. I just wrote down his details." So Shannon basically qualified the whole book in front of me, but he qualified this one couple in particular. And he said, "Those guys can spend 10 million. I looked at them. I was like, "Are you sure you heard that right?" He's like, "They're buyers." Like, I still remember he's like, "They're buyers. That was his fingers like, they're the best buyers here." And I was like, he was so excited that he'd found a buyer. I was like, okay. Anyway, so I called them and they said, "That's not going to work, but we're in the market." And one of our competitors at the time had just listed something that I'd heard about. And I tried to get into it, but it wasn't going to work because he was friends with the people that own this big house, big waterfront. So I said to these people, "Guys, I've heard that this is coming on the market. It's going to be the top end, like it's going to be your top end of your budget. I think it's launching next week. Why don't you call the agent, say that you were walking the dog, don't mention me. It's a bit of a sort, like don't mention me, but just say you're walking the dog, you heard it's coming on the market. Can you have a look at it?" They went and looked at it. They bought it within 48 hours. Actually, I think it was 8 million. And that was 2013. It was a big price.
A lot of money as well.
Yeah. Like that agent, I didn't try and get a fee, but that would have been like what a gift. Your competitors just told a buyer, you didn't even put the thing on the market. You just went there and sold an $8 million house. Think about the fee, right? But as a result of that, they came to me and they said, "Do you get anything from this?" I said, "No." But they had a house to sell. And they're like, "Okay, can you sell our house?" And that was my first listing. That's how I got so I gave a competitor an $8 million sale. I think it was 8 million, just like that. Easiest thing. Like I was sort of dying a bit, but then I got their house to sell.
I love it.
And that's how I got everything kicked off.
So you were saying before, I'm assuming when you were at Cobden's or your earlier real estate career, like there wasn't an emphasis on like managing buyers clearly.
No. Okay. So I did a year at a local sort of Ray White, Balmain type arrangement. That was my first boss, Paul Cooper. He gave me a shot. So I'll respect him forever because of that. He took me in off the street, literally. I walked in off the street so I could have a job, and he did that. Then I did 3 years. I did an apprenticeship with Shad Hassan there. It was one of their top people.
Yeah.
I got exposure to 3 years, 300 sales. It was just like I did an apprenticeship. What I didn't, like Shad said this to me, "You work for me in 12 months, you'll know what, like most agents are only doing 30 sales, I'm doing 100. Every year for me is going to be like 3 years." And he was right. I just got that. Then I went to Cobden & Hayson, and that was the first time I became standalone. I was there for 6 years. And then I did the Brezek Whitney thing. So I don't really feel like there was a buyer culture, but I got to be careful what I say because maybe I was too young to understand. But I don't feel like there was, like Ray White weren't selling a lot, but they had a couple of, salespeople there, but I don't remember. I was too young. I don't think there was a strong buyer culture at McGrath at the time. There wasn't really at Cobden & Hayson at the time, but obviously, when I say this, I have to acknowledge all these businesses have obviously grown up and changed. So I can only speak for when I was there. But in Brezek Whitney, like day one, buyer culture, like completely different. It's just like, hang on, callbacks, buyer culture, like just it was just like walking into a different industry the second you step into Brezek Whitney.
Interesting.
So different.
Bizarre like that. It's not ingrained into all these companies. Again, I haven't worked on the sell side, but you just think it makes sense. I've got a final question. How do you protect the newer version of yourself now from slipping back into the older version?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. There are some times where I feel like I could be leaning back into work too much. I think sometimes it just happens, but you have to catch yourself doing it. It's about having the self-awareness. So one of the things, and again, I spoke about this on the talk, is I just look at my goals every month. So if I find myself in this thing where I'm chasing, I don't know, for some reason something's clicked inside me. I look at those goals every day. They're in my car, they're in my bathroom, and it's like a constant reminder that that is the person I want to be, not whatever I might be trying to do right now. So I remind myself with my goals every day, but if I do feel myself like going or leaning into work too much, then I'll catch myself straight away and say, hang on. And I remind myself, if I start to lose myself, losing myself is if I don't organize my diary 7 days in advance and slot in all the personal stuff and put the blue in my calendar, I already know that week's going to be chaotic. So I just bring it back to basics all the time. So I just have to follow the system that I've created, manage your diary by, manage your energy by managing your diary, slot in life, slot in work, stay accountable to your goals. That's all you have to do. Don't worry. If Andrew's gone and sold 20, that's okay. That's good for Andrew. They're his goals. My goals are to sell 6, to stay focused on that. When I did my goals this year, I, with Ivan, scaled them back. Ivan's my coach. And even Ivan was like, "What? Why are we doing that?" And I was like, "Because enough is enough."
Oh,
but I'll have a stretch goal. If I can do more, I'll do more. But, Benny, when you've separated twice and you've lost half your income twice, right? Whatever you built, your assets, your income, whatever you want to call it. When you're at your parents' house the night before, fairly sort of major-ish 4-hour operation, maybe not major, but you're thinking, am I going to be okay? Is this going to go to plan? When you look at all that sort of stuff, it just makes you change, and so it can be seductive. Real estate can be seductive. And the first deal that I did when I came back, I still remember the dopamine hit I got, because I'd had the operation. I went back to work pretty quick, and then I did a deal. And I remember that Friday night, I was tingling. I was like, oh, I just made whatever. It's like, how good am I? And I was like, mate, snap out of it. What are you talking about? It's just another sale. It's just another day in real estate. Let's not play that game. So I think because of 2023, I just have to reflect on that very quickly, and it brings me back to planet Earth very quickly. But I do have a lot of systems and checklists in place to make sure that I'm exactly where I want to be, because I've made a conscious decision that that's who I want to be, and I keep working towards being that person.
I appreciate that. I like what you just said around not thinking or looking what other people are doing or expecting of me, because I know comparison is a thief of joy, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that's hard to deal with in real estate.
I think comparison is good to show you what other people, what's possible. So I don't think it's unhealthy. If, someone has achieved something, you're like, awesome. Okay. I know that's possible. That's awesome. I don't have to be the first person to do it. I know there's example, there's precedent, there's probably a system. But what I think is, and this is the advice that I'd give the listener, a good time to do it is at the end of the year. So one of the things, do we have 30 seconds? And I'll just share one more last thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
So one of the things that I implemented last year is at the end of November, I went to Bali, and I did that just for 4 days. And I went and stayed in Uluwatu. I stayed in the surf villas, and it was just 4 days of basically solitude, right? I didn't want to meet anyone. And the first 2 days were about reflection. And all I did is I looked at every photo that I'd taken on my phone, and I looked at all my Insta stories, because I post stuff on Insta, and I made a list. So if you said to me what was special about February last year, I'd be like, I don't know. But, I had my birthday, I had a beautiful birthday party. My son scored a goal at soccer. I still remember that, and there were multiple other things. I've got them all listed out. So I made this list of all these things that had happened in the year. I was like, holy shit, if you said to me what was good about last year, I didn't even know, right? Or I just maybe would have chose 1 or 2 high-level things. But it was like every month there was gold in every month. So I did all that. And then I also then realized that I had some really special people in my life. And I reached out to all of them. I sent them a really heartfelt message. Some of them didn't, some of them didn't even respond, but that's okay. But some of them did, right? I tried to leave a voice note for Jasmine and Jack, and I couldn't even, I think I was just crying because I just love them so much, right? So I had 2 days of that. But then the second 2 days, I had 2 days of planning. And I thought, okay, let's start thinking about 2025. Who do I want to be in 2025? What does that look like? And then I just started planning it out, and that's how I came up with my goals. So I've just spent this year trying to be, I set those goals with intention from a beautiful, grounded, centered space around who I want to be. And, I was just calm when I set them. So I'm just living my life today, trying to be the person that I did. And I've booked the same trip for this year. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go away, have 2 days of reflection, 2 days of planning for next year, whatever that looks like. And, so I'm just trying to be the person that I consciously set out to be. And then I'll reassess that. Now things change because I've got like my podcast that I've got some aspirations for. I've added
Potty.
Yeah, thank you. I've added my inner circle. I've put them up a little bit higher in the list. So yeah, I just spend my life trying to, it's intention. I live with a lot more intention now, and I live consciously. I would say that's probably the biggest changes, the biggest gifts that came from all this. I think about what I'm going to do.
Powerful conversation. Thank you, brother.
Pleasure.